I'm Justin Pritchard. This is the all-new Hyundai Tucson Hybrid, and in this video, it's my key impressions as well as some facts to consider and a couple of demonstrations for you if you're considering one of these. I recently spent 1,400 kilometers at the wheel of the new for 2022 Hyundai Tucson Ultimate Hybrid while writing and shooting several projects for TV and web. My testing included a pair of 425-kilometer highway trips, extended use on trail and back road surfaces common in rural northern Ontario, and some observations on how it worked for a rapidly growing family with 2 young kids as a test of storage space and passenger volume. In this video, I'll summarize my key impressions for in-market shoppers considering the Tucson Hybrid, and I hope these will help you to confirm or question your purchase decision. My name's Justin Pritchard. I'm a motoring journalist based in Sudbury, Ontario, and for 16 years, I've been using my cameras, keyboard, and voice to report on cars for Canadians. If you're considering a Tucson Hybrid like my tester, a $41,600 Ultimate Hybrid all-wheel drive, you're headed in a very good direction. It's an excellent machine that drives value for the dollar in several important ways, but there are 2 weaknesses that you'll want to be aware of too. The first thing to know is that the new for 2022 Tucson is a very big deal for Hyundai. It's more than just their latest entry to one of the most fiercely competitive market segments around. 2022 also marks a total overhaul for their global bestseller. This machine is serious business. Coming in some 6 inches longer and 3 inches wider than its predecessor, interior and cargo space have grown significantly. This model is a standard hybrid with no plug. Just put fuel in the tank and you're good to go. Behind the dramatic new grille, a 1.6-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder propels the Tucson Hybrid with 226 combined horsepower, while generating about 20% more torque than the non-hybrid engine option. The end result is improved performance and about 30% less fuel required to do it. There's no cord here and no changes to your driving habits are required. The Tucson Hybrid's battery automatically recharges as you drive around, and the electricity it stores can be directly used by the engine to save fuel and boost performance, primarily by way of improved on-demand torque, which is to say the shove into your seat when the throttle is pressed. If you're new to hybrids, the important thing to remember is that you don't have to do anything, and you get better performance and mileage automatically. The hybrid powertrain is where test driving shoppers are likely to see the Tucson Hybrid's best work. Throughout my time at the wheel, I was the most consistently impressed by its performance and refinement, as well as the response of the hybrid engine and all-wheel drive system. Presumably targeting the noisier powertrain in a key competitor, the Toyota RAV4 Hybrid, it feels like Hyundai went to extensive lengths to keep this driveline remarkably smooth and quiet, even when it's being worked. Of all the hybrids I've driven, this is easily one of the most invisible and seamless. The result from the driver's seat is a responsive, solid, and quiet surge of forward thrust when the throttle is applied. It's more than enough for spirited around-town driving. Even when worked moderately, noise levels and smoothness from the driveline are exceptional. In the vast majority of your driving, you'll be hard-pressed to hear or feel much of anything going on from under the hood. As the gas engine stops and restarts, even at highway cruising speed, the experience from the driver's seat is consistent, quiet, smooth, and seamless. However, the first weakness, depending on your driving style, is probably the performance. At lower speeds, the added snap from the on-demand electric system makes Tucson Hybrid's throttle response feel sharp and eager. That response is less impressive at higher speeds for highway passing and merging, though still adequate. In summary, enthusiast drivers are likely to appreciate the responsiveness of the Tucson Hybrid's powertrain the most in city driving situations, though some will wish for more snap when accelerating from higher speeds. The other thing to note here when you're on your test drive, give the throttle pedal just a little poke like that, just a little bit. Try that in sport mode. Just press lightly but fairly quickly on the accelerator and you'll feel that immediate torque as part of the electrified side of this powertrain. And that's one of the key advantages. On board, flowing, well-segmented areas of the forward dash blend and stack dynamically around the driver, and most look and feel upscale on closer inspection. The overall atmosphere is inviting, modern, and high-tech, and things are generally well-built, precisely assembled, and logically placed. So let me give you a bit more detail on the central command system down here and how we can use it to control various aspects of how the Tucson Hybrid drives. So here's what the center console looks like. We'll start up here with controls for seat ventilation and heating, heated steering wheel, downhill assist control. That turns the parking assist system on and off. This activates the parking camera system, and that's the heat and ventilation for the passenger side seat. Let's take a quick look at the camera system. So this engages automatically in certain settings. If you want to call it up yourself, just tap the button, and the central screen here goes into this view that allows us to have on the right a 360-degree view of the vehicle simulated from above. The image is a little bit off because the cameras are all wet. It's kind of rainy out right now. And same idea here on the left. We've got that rear view out the back. We can manipulate the different views that show up on the screen. For instance, this one is good for parallel parking. This gives us a better view behind the vehicle and so on. I like that setup, so I'll keep it. And when we're done, click the button and back into the Android Auto interface here. This is how we shift gears. Hold the brake, that's push for drive, push for neutral, push and hold for reverse, and to park, of course, just press the button there. No gear shifter means more room on the center console for storage and whatnot. Strong horizontal styling elements give the cabin a wide open look, and much of the forward scenery is taken up with clean modern displays and touch-activated consoles. I wished for a larger instrument cluster display screen, but the graphics are clean and it's easy reading in any light. Along with the big widescreen infotainment interface, the displays help bolster the high-tech look of the Tucson Hybrid's cabin. What I want to draw your attention to is this drive terrain button and the little toggle switch beside it. So using that, we can just toggle between the drive and terrain selector mode by pressing this button, and then use the toggle switch here, up and down, to change the corresponding function on the screen. So drive, terrain, and then toggle up and down. Corresponding reaction on the screen looks like this. So I'm pressing the drive terrain button here. Menu context changes, drive, toggle up and down. I'm in smart mode. This is kind of a self-adapting driving mode. Sport driving mode here for better throttle response, heavier steering, a little sportier, more athletic feel. And one more toggle for eco mode, which changes various settings within the powertrain and so on to help make it easier for us to drive as fuel efficiently as possible. So that's just tap the toggle, 1, 2, 3, and up here on the screen, eco, sport, and normal mode. Tap the terrain button. So now up here we're not selecting drive modes, but rather terrain modes, and using that same toggle switch, snow, mud, and sand. These are different variations for the all-wheel drive system, throttle, traction control, and so on, which give us better results if we're driving in situations where the traction might be challenging. And of course, there's a reconfigurable center display here that we can use to call up additional information however we see fit. For instance, an all-wheel drive power distribution graph there, tire pressure, engine temperature, and the like. You can see really good graphics on here too. Elsewhere, space, storage, entry, and exit are surprisingly good, even for larger passengers. The floor is actually a little bit on the high side here, and if we come right in, we can see there's also a lip here. So the floor, and we've got this lip here. So that's going to make a little bit of an awkward jump in for certain canines, depending on how you set this up. You may just want to consider your family dog if they're frequently jumping in and out of the back. I know for my dog, not a big deal, but this will be a little bit awkward for certain canines. There's plenty of space between front and rear seats, and even at 6'4", my tallest friend Chris could sit behind himself in the second row with sufficient space. I lent this tester to Chris and his family for a few days to get their impressions on how it worked for a rapidly growing family. They came away the most impressed with the amount of onboard space available given the Tucson Hybrid's overall size. Chris and his family want a crossover with lots of space, but prefer a machine that drives like something smaller, not larger. So after loading and unloading gear and child seats and strollers, and spending a few days at the wheel, they figured that the cargo space, rear seat legroom, and size of the door openings were among this machine's best assets when it comes to space and storage. In motion, the Tucson Hybrid is generally quiet with no need to raise your voice for a conversation at highway speeds or under heavy throttle. A quick demonstration for you on how quiet the Tucson Hybrid is. So we're powered up, it's started, we're ready to go. There is a light on the instrument cluster telling me we're ready to drive. Just click here to put it in gear with your foot on the brake pedal. I think it's a little too soft and numb to be of much interest to enthusiast drivers, though it is a well-mannered highway touring machine that gives you a lovely place to sit back as you sip fuel and take in the scenery. I don't think you often get to see how the headlights on your vehicle perform until after you've bought and paid for it, that first time you go driving it in the dark. And this is the first time I'm driving this at night, so let me give you a couple of impressions here. Right off the bat, the low beams, nice and powerful up close in the foreground. We've got that little notch, if you look closely, sort of right on the double center line there. So that little bit of a notch kind of cut out of the beam pattern in the oncoming lane. That, of course, makes your headlights easier on the oncoming traffic, so you're not dazzling them as much. Otherwise, we've got a nice, even spread of clean white light. I've got good peripheral illumination into the tree lines and culverts. I've got good saturation, I've got good reach. Nice engagement of reflective surfaces far away, and that's important because if you can see those reflective surfaces far away, you can see an animal crossing in front of those reflective surfaces farther away, and that's more reaction time. High beams here, it's not totally dark out, so the difference, there's low beams, high beams. I'm not sure how that's looking on the camera, but really I think easy to take some confidence from this lighting system when you're driving after dark. Ride comfort is generally good, though some rough road surfaces may pose an issue for some. Specifically, the Tucson Hybrid's ride comfort doesn't stand up as well as I like on very rough road or trail surfaces. Here, when it comes to noise levels, harshness, and feedback from beneath the vehicle, I've noted numerous competitors to handle extreme rough road surfaces with less harshness and a more comfortable ride, especially the Buick Envision and Mitsubishi Outlander. It is easy to appreciate the feeling of toughness imparted by the Tucson Hybrid's high-tensile body structure on badly beaten camp roads and back roads, though the suspension can become rougher and noisier than some will like, which inspires less confidence from the machine on worst-case scenario roads. So if you'll primarily drive in a smooth on-road setting, you're good to go. If you'll do a lot of driving on very rough road surfaces, you do have better options for ride comfort. Ultimately, I'd recommend test driving shoppers include a rough road surface on their pre-purchase test drive to confirm satisfactory ride quality and also to confirm that passing and merging power meet their needs. Beyond that, here's a machine with a few weaknesses, many strengths, and one of the smoothest hybrid drivelines I've ever tried. Well, thank you for watching. My name's Justin Pritchard, and until next time, take care and drive safe.